Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Castello Show. I'm your host, Brian. I'm here with my co-host, John. Guys, we're so excited to get into it this week. We're going to jump right into the news stories, all right? And we'll start off with Miami 6-2 over the New York Red Bulls. I mean, an absolute thrashing. If you watched anything about soccer, you probably saw this already. But Messi tying the record in MLS competitions for most goal contributions and broke the regular season record. It happened once in a playoff game. So, I mean, unbelievable week from him. Marcus Rojas with goals, Suarez with goals. Everything was perfect there. I don't really have anything interesting to say about it. It just felt like you can't really do a news story without bringing that up.
Well, Rojas didn't come in till the second half.
True.
It was a halftime substitution, and then the whole game changed.
Yeah. But
the whole drubbing was the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Rojas really has found a spot in this team quickly. It does make me wonder what happens to Robert Taylor. So, I mean, I don't know how he fits in anymore because
and Gomez when he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of they don't need them. Like it just seems like Miami has too much talent, which is really it's a good problem to have. I guess.
Can give some to Charlotte.
Yeah. Speaking of Charlotte 2-0 win over Portland at home. Good game, honestly. I felt like they did miss chances, but on the whole, they looked good.
Portland looked really bad.
Portland did look really bad. Portland really should have scored a couple times. I mean, they had one-on-ones with Kalina that they just couldn't put away. Also, Jonathan Rodriguez is just disappointing.
Very.
I mean, if you can't get past that Charlotte back line, which Malanda back, so it's a regular look from Charlotte again, at least on the back four, which they seem to really need that back four. Like, if it's not Malanda and Privet as their center backs, they don't know what to do.
Well, I think it's Malanda. I think that's the big difference. I mean, he's the most experienced guy on that.
Yeah, which is
that's a center back.
That's insane.
It is.
That he is, but he is.
The one thing I was thinking about with Rodriguez, though, is that adjustment to MLS and maybe to turf.
True.
And you see a lot of guys that come in, they don't start doing. Timu Puki, he had, like, his first game was great, and then he disappeared for a while, you know. We still haven't seen Capetti, really.
No,
I think he's past adjustment time.
Right.
But I feel like there's a lot of guys. You know, they say the adjustment to the MLS, but I think a lot of it is adjustment to the turf. It's very different playing on turf than grass, especially when that's all you've played on your entire life and your entire professional career.
For sure. It's definitely a difference. Well, and we say we haven't seen Enzo, but Enzo goal in the 91st minute, I think. We were in the stoppage, I believe.
Were we? Or it was just before? It was right around there.
I was pretty sure we were in the stoppage at that point, and then shushing his home crowd.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Honestly,
and by the way, that play was all because of a lazy Portland.
Yeah, no,
play. I mean, that was terrible.
It wasn't like the best opening. I mean,
Which never went off on his team after that game.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, no, he did. I read a whole article on it, and he was like, there's going to be a lot of changes. These guys don't even want to play soccer. I've never seen a team play like that before. So
yeah, no, it was a bad look. But 2-0, we'll take it. Now, next story, Zimmerman is back in Nashville, 4-1 over Montreal. Zimmerman with a goal. They didn't hold the clean sheet, but, I mean, if you get 4 goals, it doesn't even really matter. At that point, who cares?
Unless you had Zimmerman or
yeah, but honestly,
Willis.
Zimmerman scored a goal, so fantasy-wise, it's still, even though it would have been nice to have another 5
more.
But it wasn't. I mean, still, I think 7 points from him. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And then the Rapids, 2-0. In New York City, the hardest team to go get a win at. I don't really have much to say about the game other than just I love the Rapids. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about them, and
they play
they
hard.
Keep getting better.
They go into games that people do not think they're going to win. I mean, we've seen really good teams struggle going to New York City. I mean, New York City is one of those teams that we always take to get a clean sheet at home. Cole Bassett.
They're playing on a baseball field.
Yeah, no, it's just so small. Cole Bassett with a goal and an assist, and Navarro with the other goal. So very, very much the usual suspects from the Rapids there. But a very good game. Moise Bombito, with the clean. I mean, all your defenders with clean sheets.
Yeah.
Definitely a good.
Zach Steffen.
Yeah, Zach Steffen as well. So good showing from them. Now let's get into last week's fantasy. So I had Joe Willis in the net. 4 points from him. Overall, by the way, 114 points for my team. So it was a good week. I did win my head-to-head, and we bumped up a little in the rankings. So my overall rank now, I am 1583. Last week I was in the 1600s, so we'll take that. And then let's go through the team, and then I'll check out the Charlotte rankings because that's on another page. But we've got Joe Willis with 4 points in the net. Again, with no clean sheets. So that's 2 bonus points as a keeper. That's about as good as you're going to do.
What you're going to get unless they get a few saves and you get the 3 points.
Yeah. Then we got Walker Zimmerman with 7. Moise Bombito with 8. Brooks Lennon with 3. Disappointing from him. Then through the midfield. Midfield was okay. So Acosta with 9. Amina Bassi with 8. I was pretty confident in those two. Tillman I went with at the last minute, and it was the wrong play. He had 4 points. Lod with 1 point, which was shocking, actually, especially because they won that game. Like, I thought if Minnesota does anything, Lod will be involved in it.
Right.
But, I mean, they just proved that it could be anybody from Minnesota. I had Will Sands in on the bye to then have someone go in. So Eneli ended up being the sub that went in for him with 7 points there. Eneli technically a defender, so that's where he would have fit in, but he was subbing in for a midfielder. Then we had Lionel Messi up top as my captain with 56 points. Like we just said, I mean, he broke a record, so that's the type of points you get from a record-breaking game. And then we had Arango up top with 7. Also had Oluwaseyi with 7 on the bench. To be honest, I really only picked him for money purposes because he had 2 sevens already. But yeah, I mean, he's sitting on 3 sevens in a row right now. So he's a legitimate striker pick.
And he's only $6.8 million still now. So he'll still probably get a price rise next week, even if he doesn't get a good game. So something to think about for people that need money.
Definitely. And if you can't afford your Arangos and your Messis, I mean, Arango's $13.2 million right now. Messi's $13.5. If you're looking for a budget striker, Oluwaseyi's, I mean, $6.8 million is an unbelievable price. And I don't really think you're sacrificing much quality there. Also had Yarborough on the bench. He had 4 points as well in the net. It wasn't really a factor here because Willis had 4 as well, but it is a good game from him and not what you expect to see out of San Jose's keeper usually. So it felt noteworthy. And then, so let's see. As far as rankings go, so I'm 30th in that Charlotte FC thing. I was actually 45th for my week rank. I'm assuming it's just because a lot of people had Messi, so 114 was attainable. But
yeah,
114 putting me in 45th, I'm a little upset about it. I mean, we couldn't break 100 all year. Now Messi's in and 100 points means
so many people had Messi as their captain, and that was 56 right there.
Yeah.
If they had Suarez, that was another 21, and then they were just off to the races.
True. And then as far as money goes, it did work out. Up to $136.2 million. So the team this week is expensive. I mean, to be honest, money is just not a factor anymore. I'm starting to get expensive subs, too. I have more players than I can get on the field at the moment. So we're happy as far as money goes. How'd you do last week?
So last week, I did not do great. I had 108, which for this week was not a great score. I had Sean Johnson on the bench. Toronto played at 7:30, and he was definitely my favorite keeper. Everything pointed to him. Mm-hmm. So, but they let up that goal in like the 87th minute or something like that, and so he only got 2 points. I still had Hagen, Columbus's $4 million scrub keeper, because I couldn't afford a keeper on Sunday.
Yeah.
I like Joe Willis, but I was only going to put him in if Toronto let up a goal in the first half, which they didn't because he was the 8:30 game. And I also liked McMath, but that Dallas goal on Toronto was scored like right after 9:30, right when the Charlotte game was ended. I checked like 5 minutes before; they still hadn't scored.
Yeah.
So I pulled McMath. I even pulled a defender, and and went with Toronto. And then when we were walking out of the stadium, I saw they let up that goal and killed everything defensively for me. So I looked at Sunday's games. I didn't like Takioka. I don't really like Vancouver players.
Yeah.
Not that they're not good. Whenever I start them, it's a letdown game. Doesn't matter who it is. White, Gold, Takioka.
No. It's hard to
and when I don't, then they have a great game. But I'd rather not start them on a great game than the reverse. So I looked at Sunday. I like Fry better than Freeze. With LA not having Puja Joveljic. But then after I made some defensive changes, I actually couldn't afford Fry. So I thought it was better to go with defenders over the keeper because they can get points elsewhere. A keeper's getting you 2 or 3 if they don't get the clean sheet, whereas a defender might get more. So I just ate the 2 points from Sean Johnson. So really awful week for me as keeper-wise. And what's really sad was Fry did get the clean sheet.
Yeah.
And I did not. I couldn't afford him. So I wound up playing a 3-5-2. Defenders, I had Gomis from Toronto and Lovitz from Nashville on my bench. And then when I checked the Nashville lineup, it was too late. So Lovitz didn't play. I would have had Zimmerman. I originally had him, and I put in Lovitz to try to save money. But if he wasn't playing, then I would have put Zimmerman in, which is kind of unfortunate. I started Lennon for the supposed offensive points again. And he's not scoring offensive points this season. No. Like, I'm done with Lennon. I really am. And I'm pretty done with Atlanta players.
Yeah.
Almada's been disappointing. Gigi. And they played bad teams, and they still don't score. They still let up goals. And this week, they're all going to blow up. And I don't care. Just like Vancouver, I'd rather choose someone else and miss out on the points they have than take them and get 3 points from Brooke Lennon again. 5 points from Almada again.
Yeah.
At $12.4 million for Almada, $9.5 million for a defender. I mean, he's so by far the most expensive defender.
Yeah, well, and I don't understand how his value hasn't gone down yet. Like, he hasn't really had good games.
No.
I don't know how he could
They had the one clean sheet last week.
Value.
But, no, look at his points. They're not impressive at all.
No.
So, like I said, I had Catranis in my starting lineup. I said I had a Salt Lake player. He actually only played 59 minutes and then came out. So he didn't get their clean sheet. So it was actually good that I pulled him. It didn't matter because I subbed Ilinich for him, and he got 1 point as well. But I chose Catranis over Eneli because Catranis had 2 goals and 2 assists this season. So I thought I had no thought of him actually getting pulled early. But I wound up going with Ilinich on Sunday. I was going to go with I told you I liked Seattle better than New York, but I like Toronto better than everybody. I figured I'd rather have 2 different teams, 2 shots at 1 clean sheet, maybe both. So I went with Reagan and Ilinich. Reagan did get the clean sheet, got 9. Really good week. But overall, terrible week defensively for me. 3 from Lennon, 1 from Ilinich, 2 from Johnson, and then 9 from Reagan. That's 15 total points for a keeper and 3 defenders.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
It's what kills my score every single week. Like, I don't even know what to do anymore with defense and keeper. It's very frustrating. Midfield was mixed for me. Usually my midfield's strong. This week was mixed. I went with Almada, like I said. I expected a lot out of Atlanta. They did nothing on the road against Chicago the previous week. Now they're coming home. They averaged 2.4 goals per game. Nothing.
Yep.
So I started Acosta again. He's in my lineup most weeks. He got 9 points. Most were on the goal that he scored, but good week for him. I really liked Espinosa this week. I like San Jose. LAFC allows 2.5 goals per game on the road this season. And if you like the San Jose offense, then you like Espinosa. He had 2 assists and some bonus points, so he had 10 points. He was my next best player after Messi this week. I really like Santi. This was his last home. He had 5 consecutive home games. This was the last one before they go on the road. I thought it would be a good one for him, but he only had 3 points. Didn't really pan out. And that was the 4 I was definitely going with. I liked either Mukhtar, Forsberg, or Lewis Morgan. Mukhtar had 14 points. Forsberg had 11. Both made the dream team. I chose Lewis Morgan. 3 points, baby. So it is what it is.
Well, and what's funny about Forsberg's 11 is like 5 of that is a PK.
PK.
I mean, it was not a good showing from Forsberg. It's not like it was,
No, he should have had an assist, and that dude hit the post.
Yeah.
And then Van Zier got the goal
Yep.
on the rebound. So he should have had more points. But knowing who takes the PKs for a team should matter when you're choosing between guys in fantasy.
For sure.
So, forwards, I captained Messi for the 4th week in a row. He had 28 points, which doubled to 56. Finally, for the first week, more than 50% of fantasy players have Messi on their roster, but it's only 51.69%. So just over 50% have Messi on the roster. Not captained, on the roster.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Insane.
No, I played against Messi as not the captain this week, and it's just, I mean, you're getting
28 points. That guy just
many
threw
points.
away. So here's his last 5 games, in which he actually played 4.5, because the first one he only played 45 minutes. That was against Colorado. He has 7 goals and 8 assists in 4.5 games.
Yeah, I mean, those are FIFA.
Even
career
calling
mode
it
numbers.
5 games, that's 3 goal contributions per game. It is. That's video game numbers.
That's crazy.
He had 9 points in that half game, then 13, 19, 19, and 28. I don't know what this 48.31% of players are waiting
Yeah.
to put this week. This is the down game.
The only thing I can think is it's a money thing, or they just
You start with him. You have to start with him.
maybe it could be though. They just refuse to play Messi.
Well,
because
I can
they
tell
don't
you,
like him.
like if you look, there's 3 players in our league that don't look at their lineups any week, haven't changed
Yeah.
anything. So there's definitely players that didn't play in week 1 and still haven't changed their lineup. They're not really into it.
For sure.
But that's not half of the league.
No,
So-
but then you combine it with people who just hate Messi in Miami, and are just like, I'll miss
Yeah, I
out
hate
on the
Miami
points.
so much, and this is not for rooting. This is for winning.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, I'd start Tom Brady, against the Jets if he was still playing.
Yeah, no,
You
for
know.
sure.
So
Well,
if I thought it was going to win me,
You can tell by our lineup, or at least my lineup this week. I haven't seen your lineup yet, but I'm not. These are not emotional decisions. Like, it's not based on who we root for at all.
you got a lot of Nashville players.
I got 2.
I would too against Charlotte. Now that Zimmerman's back, they're back to and Mukhtar seems like they're getting back to being normal again. Perfect time for Charlotte to face him.
Yeah.
My other, I had a forward on the bench, Owusu. I really thought this was Toronto's week, and they did score a lot, but it was all Bernadeschi. So Owusu only had 2 points, so then Arango did play, and he had 7. So I expected more at home against SKC, but 7 points is never terrible.
Yeah.
So I used 135.3 million of my 135.8. So I only had 500,000 left over, which is why I couldn't get Fry in. Most of my guys made money. I made another 3.5 million. So now I have 139.3 million. If you look at some of these top players, they're in like the 150s in money.
Yeah.
So
No, it's wild.
it's pretty crazy. But if I had players like Owusu went up. He had 2 points and he went up. Like it seems very easy to get a price rise this year. And so I think that 139.3. I mean, I don't think I ever got there last year. That sounds like a lot, but I don't think it really is when you have all these players that cost over 13 million, over 12 million.
Yeah.
And like I said, money was a factor. I couldn't put in Fry because of money. So I won my head-to-head, 108 to 100 over Mike, which was actually a big win. I'm still in 3rd. But if I lost, I would have dropped to 5th.
Right.
Mike would have jumped me. So I play Matt this upcoming week. He's 1 point ahead of me in 2nd place. So this is a big week. He had a big week last week. I think he had 130 something. He was 2nd in all of Charlotte. So
Yeah. Big.
Charlotte fans, I was 65th this week, which is terrible.
Yeah, don't love that.
So I slipped to 10th overall. I'm still in the top 10, but I slipped another spot. So in the last 2 weeks, I went from 8 to 9 and now 9 to 10. I'm still in the top 10, but I got to get my act together. So my overall league rank, it was 2655 for the week, and then 607 overall. So I dropped another 43 spots. It was not a good week for me. So
So let's get into next week here. Don, you want to go through the teams, and then we'll go through my team?
Yeah, so still no double game weeks. They actually start next week. Wednesday
Exciting.
and Saturday, yeah. Double game weeks are fun. Sometimes you get angry because you would have liked the matchup, then you don't.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot more things you can do. You have a lot. If you're someone who thinks and plans, you have an advantage over your opponent. So, there were U.S. Open Cup games and Canadian Championship games that could affect this week. So I'm going to run down them real quick. Wednesday, U.S. Open Cup. Atlanta played. They had no fantasy starters playing. It was all nobodies. And they still killed Charlotte Independence.
Yeah.
Houston, their full back line and Herrera started. They all played over 100 minutes except for Michael. A lot of them played the full 120. They went to PKs and lost like 10-9 in PKs.
Wow.
Yeah. Bassi and Karaskia subbed in. They played 57 and 50 minutes. So it's a decent amount of Houston players worth looking at before you make your lineup. Dallas played their normal starting squad. According to the site, it looks like they played the full game. There's no subs, but there's no subs for either team, which is very odd. So you didn't get a feed on any of these games, but some of them, if you look in the stats, it did say the amount of time. There were certain games where every single player said 90 minutes, and everyone that didn't start said 0. So that doesn't sound right.
Right.
So San Jose didn't have any fantasy starters playing. Canadian Championship, Vancouver started Ahmed, Raposo, and White. Again, it looked like they played the full game, but I don't know. Toronto played Rosted, Gomes, Franklin, and Longstaff. Mostly defensive and midfield players. So that was Wednesday. Wednesday, KC, Agata played 70. Eric Tommy played 118 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then Johnny Russell played 50. He subbed in and played 50. RSL, Diego Luna, it says 90.
Yeah.
But another game where all the starters say 90. Only guy you would have ever heard of playing in that game. LAFC, Bouanga played 90. Tillman played 79. Atuesta played 79. And Long played 90. And then Ilya Sanchez subbed in and only played 11. Seattle, Alex Rodon played 91. They went into extra time as well. Atencio played 87. And then Chu subbed in for Rodon and played 14. So, and then Montreal in the Canadian Championship, Chonier, Wanyama, Ibrahim, and Waterman all started. And the site said they played 90, so I'm not really sure. So those are guys that played this week. So things you might want to think about when putting your lineup together. As far as teams that I like and dislike, defensively, my favorites are Red Bull, St. Louis, and then again Toronto this week. They're all at home. They all allow less than a goal per game at home, and they're all playing teams that score less than a goal per game on the road.
Yeah.
So Red Bull allows a half a goal per game at home, which is the best in the league. They have 2 clean sheets in 4 games. They're playing New England, who scored 3 goals in 5 road games. They were shut out twice. St. Louis allows 0.6 goals per game at home, which is tied for second with 3 other teams. They have 3 clean sheets at home. They're playing Chicago. They have 4 goals in 5 games. They're twice shut out. And Toronto is allowing 4 goals in 5 home games, but 3 were in 1 game. And that was without Sean Johnson. So in the other 4, they only have 1 goal scored.
Yeah, that's a lot.
1 goal allowed. 3 clean sheets. So they're playing NYC. They have scored 1 goal in 4 road games.
Wow.
So 3 clean sheets.
Yeah.
So the numbers are pretty powerful in those. Again, I never call clean sheets right. So take all those stats with a grain of salt. But those stats point heavy towards those defenses.
For sure.
So I also like Austin at Dallas and Philly at home against Orlando. So that's my defensive teams. Attacking, my favorites are Red Bull again. Philly, Miami, Portland if Evander's back, and LA if Jovic is back. So I can't get an update on them yet. Red Bull averaging almost 2 goals per game at home. New England allows 2 goals per game on the road. I couldn't say that right.
Yeah.
2 goals per game. Philly averaging a little over 1.5 at home, which isn't great. They're averaging, not allowing. But they're playing Orlando. Orlando allows almost 3 goals per game on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's the second to last in the league, only in front of Nashville, who I think is better now with Zimmerman, so they'll probably last soon. Miami averaging over 2 goals per game on the road. Montreal allows 1.5 goals per game at home. But this bet's about Miami, not Montreal.
Yeah.
Portland averaging 2.25 goals per game at home. Seattle allowing a little over 1.5 goals on the road. But again, Evander matters in that. And LA is averaging 2.25 goals per game at home. RSL is only allowing 1 goal per game on the road, but they haven't faced an attack like LA.
Right.
And again, that's if Jovic plays. I like him. Other attacks I do like: Colorado, Houston, LAFC, St. Louis, and Toronto.
Yeah. So my team this week, and I mean we agreed on a lot of stuff here. So I've got Berkey in the net right now. I just really think Chicago's terrible. I like St. Louis usually. Then across the back line, I've got Noah Eel from Red Bulls. Ile, thank you. Then I got Zimmerman and Totland from St. Louis. Not really married to Totland specifically. Just went with a St. Louis defender there. Same with Ile. I mean, I don't even know his name. So that's how you know
He's
that.
coming back from his red card.
Yeah. And then through the midfield. So I've got Mukhtar right now. I also have Cole Bassett on the bench. I don't know which of those two I'm going to leave in. I know Mukhtar plays first, so I may end up... things may move around there. I'm not sure about that. Then I've got Forsberg, Santi, and Lewis Morgan. Pretty confident in all of them playing. I mean, we just said Red Bulls versus New England. I mean, the numbers are really in the Red Bulls' favor there. As far as Santi goes, he may be the one that leaves for Cole Bassett. I really like Cole Bassett against San Jose. But I just got to find the place to fit him in here. And then up top, I've got Messi captained. Again, I'm not changing that until it doesn't work once, and even then I'll probably do it again anyway. Surridge is in right now. I just don't see a way that he doesn't score at least a goal against Charlotte. I really don't. Even if Charlotte somehow wins that game, Surridge is just so consistent. And now that they have Zimmerman back, they're getting a lot more time in the attacking third. They're not on the back foot as much. I really think that Mukhtar and Surridge are going to link up crazy against Charlotte. And then I've got Suarez up top as well. Now, Suarez, you never know that he's definitely going to play. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with them sometimes. But we saw what Messi and Suarez can do together last week. We've seen it before. Actually, not last week, but 2 weeks ago, I lost fantasy. Both of us had Messi captained, and he had Suarez, who had another 20 points on top of it. So that can be the difference maker for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Suarez and Messi together, when they link up, they combine for just insane points. So, also on the bench, I got Moise Bambito. I didn't really know where to fit him into this. He may end up going in for Ile or Totland. Zimmerman, I'm very confident, is staying there. But we'll see. That back line, Moise Bambito could find a way.
Well,
in there.
and Colorado doesn't play till 9:30.
Yep.
Isla plays at 7:30, so you might want to put Isla on the bench, see how he does.
Right. Yeah.
And if he has a good game, then you just pull Bambito.
For sure.
Or Totland if you like Bambito better.
Well, and honestly, I think I'm going to do the same thing with Surridge and Bassett.
Yeah, and give yourself the switcheroo option.
Right. But yeah, so that's my team. Pretty straightforward. I mean, honestly, there's really no... I don't think there's anything unexpected here. I'm really playing numbers and matchups, but we got to stay consistent because, like I said, I just broke into the 30 spot in the Charlotte FC League, and I want to get up into that top 20. That's the next milestone there. So I need to not only win, but win by a little, and start closing that gap.
So for me, right now I have Coronel on my bench. I was debating between him and Sean Johnson. I feel like after the drubbing they just took and coming home, they really and Isla coming back, I really feel like they could get a clean sheet more than Toronto. Although when you look at Toronto's matchup against NYC, who's been shut out 3 times and scored 1 goal in the other game.
Yeah.
And Toronto, I mean, consistently gets clean sheets, and this last one they just let up at the very end of the game. I'm still debating on Coronel or Sean Johnson. I do have Roman Berkey on the field right now, and I was basically looking, if it's still a shutout in the first half, then pulling Berkey. Because he plays at 8:30. It's just unfortunate that the 3 keepers I like are all at 7:30 and 8:30.
Yeah.
So I'll pull him if whoever I start still has a clean sheet at right before 8:30. And then if they wind up losing it, I'll look for potentially someone, maybe Zach Steffen at 9:30. Really don't like much else. Don't actually hate McCarthy. Not McCarthy. Lloris. Hugo Lloris for LAFC. Don't love the Whitecaps on the road, but not sure yet. Right now, I'm rolling with Carnell and Berkey. For defenders, I have Gomis and Isla on the bench at 7:30 games. I have Wagner on the field. I think they can get a clean sheet against Orlando. And he also has the attacking potential. But I'm not going with players anymore just for attacking potential.
Right.
I'm clean sheet hunting. I'm starting 3, 2 on the bench, giving myself a lot of opportunity.
Yep.
All different teams for clean sheets and going from there. That's going to be my strategy the rest of the year. Now, I choose Wagner over another player on Philly because he also has that ability.
Right.
So, I have Totland as well. You had him. I like him. He if you look, he gets more bonus points than his teammates. He's 7.7 million. Parker's 7.4. If you're looking to shave off a little bit, Parker's probably your next best option. And then I have Heinz Ike for Austin. I'm sorry, as my last guy right now. He's only 6.3 million, which is pretty good for a defender, especially compared to the rest of his team. And I do like Dallas and Austin. I keep saying Dallas. And they play at 8:30, so it might give me see how Gomis and Isla are doing at the half, just like Coronella or Johnson. So that's my defense. One other guy I was thinking about, Tolkien instead of Isla. He's a lot cheaper. But I am a little worried that Tolkien he had like a -2 or -3 this past week, and I'm really worried about losing money even with a decent game, but especially if he doesn't get the clean sheet, losing money. So
for sure.
Midfield, I got Gazdag. I like him a lot this week. I like Philly scoring. I was looking at Carranza. He's not very consistent. Gazdag hasn't had any breakout games, but he's consistently getting points, so I'd rather take that.
Yeah.
And he could get a breakout game, especially against this team. I have Forsberg, debating between Morgan and Forsberg. Forsberg gets the PKs, though.
Yeah.
He's in the
midfield. I went with both of them. I wouldn't have gone just Morgan.
Yeah, he's in the midfield, so he can get goals. But he also can set up either Van Zier or Morgan. So I just thought there was a lot more opportunity with him. I got Puig. He's back this week. I think after the week off, he is going to want to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping Joveljic plays because that team is better with him. Barry doesn't make the runs he makes, and everything changes.
For sure.
And I have Cole Bassett, actually. So hate San Jose on the road.
Yeah.
Love Bassett. So I could see him having a really good week. I have Rojas on my bench. They play at 7:30, so there could be some switches because of that. This is a 3-4-3, so 2 defenders and 1 midfielder on my bench. For forwards, Messi and captain, I have Bouanga. Bouanga has scored every single home game this season.
Yeah.
And has not scored on the road. Comes back home I like Bouanga.
Yeah.
And then I have Klaus. They're back home. They're playing Chicago. And I think Klaus. I mean, we talked a few weeks ago about how good Klaus is, and so and he's only $9.7 million. Compared to most of your big name forwards, it's a huge bargain. You're saving $2 or $3 million
for sure.
So
let's get into the betting. So last week, I made 4 bets, $20 a piece. So we came out in the black here. So I had Charlotte FC. I bet the over there, them playing Portland. I bet over 2.5. The bet there was assuming Charlotte wasn't going to get a clean sheet, which they did. But I got Charlotte's goals right. I mean, I figured it would be 2-1 Charlotte was what I was betting on, so we just missed that. Cincinnati. Cincinnati was somehow plus 210 playing Orlando. I don't really understand how that is. So I made $42 profit on that game. Then LAFC lost, but Cincinnati covered the Charlotte bet and the LAFC bet. So I was still $2 profit here, and then Inter Miami won. So we made $19.39 last week. We'll take it.
Would you lay out 80?
Yeah, so $80 laid out, made like $19. 2-2. I mean, they were really the Cincinnati odds there is what made that positive for me. But a win is a win. We'll take it. So next week, I've got 5 games here. Pretty much what you'd expect. I mean, if you were going to pick 5 games off the list this week, it would probably be these. I've got the Union over Orlando at minus 120. I really just don't believe in Orlando to beat anybody, and the Union are...
No, and Union only has 1 loss.
Yeah,
You're really hoping for not a tie.
The Union are really finding form, too.
Yeah,
I mean, they're getting better.
They're becoming one of the best teams in the league again.
Yeah. Then I got the Red Bulls over the Revolution, minus 175. I mean, I'm not worried about that game at all, honestly, other than I wish I was making more money on it. Inter Miami over Montreal at minus 120. That line even feels like not enough negative. Minus 120 doesn't feel like...
Especially if they still don't have Martinez and
yeah.
Kokoro.
Which, by the way, so those 3 bets I made on Monday. So those are the lines from Monday. Now, MLS lines do move around. I've seen some pretty significant moves, but right now it is Thursday at the time of recording, and that is still minus 120. So that one hasn't moved yet. Usually Friday in the afternoon, that's when you'll kind of start seeing a move. It seems like that's when people are making their bets.
It's when they're starting to get injury reports and stuff, too.
Yeah, things like that. So, Friday afternoon, I mean, that's when things could move here. But right now, 120 for that game. Then I've got Nashville over Charlotte, which I wasn't going to touch this game because I don't like betting against Charlotte. I mean, you guys know we're Charlotte fans. We're from Charlotte. So I didn't want to bet Nashville, but they're plus 250. Wow. And that just felt like way too big of a line to let go.
I could definitely see this game being a draw, though.
Yeah, and I was a little worried about that, but honestly,
plus 250, even if you put less on it.
Yeah, if Nashville plays like they did last week, that's going to hit. Honestly, Charlotte's not prepared to see Nashville at that caliber. I mean, they played a really shitty Portland team last week, so I don't want.
That was actually a pretty awful game to watch.
I don't want to.
Neither team really did anything impressive.
But
it was pretty bad.
I don't want to get too excited about that win, just because of what they played against that day, you know. And then I've got St. Louis City over Chicago minus 130. I expect that to move probably if I had to guess, but right now it's still minus 130. I made that bet today on Thursday is when that one got placed. That Nashville bet also got placed today as well. So hopefully those lines hold for when these episodes get out, so that you guys get the full plus 250 on Nashville, because that's insane, that number. It makes no sense at all to me. But I feel pretty confident about the picks this week. I do think... we haven't had a big win in a while. It's been a lot of these like lose $20, win $20 weeks. So I think this could be a week where we really jump up profit-wise.
I like Colorado too.
I do like Colorado. I wasn't honestly. What really made the difference there, because Colorado was the bet at first, but then I saw that Nashville plus 250, and that bumped Colorado off my list.
The one super interesting game this week that I would not bet on is Columbus-Cincinnati.
I thought about that too, so I'm definitely not betting on it.
I would not bet on that game, and I don't love Cucho this week, and I don't love Lucho this week.
No,
Both teams are really good defensively.
Yeah. No, that's a scary game.
Yeah, but that's a game. start time. That one's 7:45 instead of on the 30s. I'm not really sure
Yeah, I don't know what that's
why
about.
that is. But that is, if you are not a fan of any team, that's a game to watch.
For sure.
Just to watch a great game, because that could be awesome.
All right. Well, guys, that is our show. John, any last things you want to say to the people?
Check your lineups, and good luck.